Well, Razorback fans, we had a chance to hear from the players, or at least a few of the players, for the first time since the firing of Sam Pittman and the hiring of Bobby Petrino. What did they have to say? Well, let's talk about it in today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday as it's a hump week and it's game week. So tomorrow we'll be talking a little Tennessee with a little Locked On crossover action. But I'm going to give you a little bit on the latest on the coaching search because I know you guys are dying to have some information on that. As well as talk about Arkansas Razorback basketball. Officially have a schedule like together and times and all that great stuff. So we'll get into that as well. But, you know, we had a chance last night to hear from a few select players for the Arkansas Razorback football team. That was the thing that I'm always fascinated to hear from players and to hear from coaches and anything like that. But given the circumstances of what transpired over the past week and a half, I think that the players and not really knowing where their mindset was or how they felt about it was fascinating. And I think it was worth hearing from them. And I'm glad that we at least had a chance to, because their world's been turned upside down. I mean, that's the thing that we've talked about is, you know, the coaches get fired and, you know, coaches come in and new coaches get added and fans are excited or skeptical. And then you have a new coaching search. It's like, is it going to be this guy or this guy? And it's like, hey, same time, you got players that are still on the team that are still trying to accomplish things. And a few of the players that we got to hear from offense and defense. Well, the first clip, I'm going to play this for you. We had a chance to hear from Taylen Green as well as Caleb Wooden, the defensive back. And in this first clip, it's just them talking about their reaction to kind of the news of Pittman and everything to go along with it. Take a listen.
I think everybody has a similar reaction and feeling. Like we was just, all shocked and with all the, changes that happened last week on the bye week. So everybody was in shock.
I would say, like Taylor said, I was in shock, but I'm used to it. My pops taught me when I was a child to thrive in adversity. And I remember that when I got to Auburn, my DC got fired. And then head coach was fired. And then my position coach took a job somewhere else. So it's all familiar to me. I know it's part of the business. It's a win or lose business. If you win, you stay. If you don't, you go. So I understand that.
That was, again, Taylen Green and Caleb Wood. Let me just say this about, Taylen Green handled it fine. But that answer from Caleb Wooden was really great, if you ask me. I'm not going to sit here and say that Caleb Wooden, I know everything about the kid. But being a transfer from Auburn, this is probably a pretty crazy thing for him, you would think, is like, oh, man, how does a guy who is entering into one of his final years, if not his final year of college, and transferring from an SEC school, and he walks in and he's playing for Arkansas, and suddenly him and his entire coaching staff and his head coach are gone that he was dealing with. So it's like, how does he react to that? Like, how do you handle that? That may have been the most adult and responsible and mature answer you could have, because he took it as something he brought with his dad. He's like, hey, Dad taught me to fight through adversity, which is great. And it's great to say, but taking the approach of, listen, I've had my coach fired, my defensive coach fired before, they left when this happened. I had to deal with this. And he just goes on and on about it. It's like, it's part of the business. And he's like, you understand that if you don't perform, changes happen. And I was just like, wow. Yeah. I mean, because that's how we see it. That's how fans can see it. But to see a player who's in it, and in some cases, and again, maybe you could take this because it would be different if he wasn't a transfer portal player. Like, if he was back in the old days of when players would stick around for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe it'd be different. But I just think that was a very mature approach. And I'm telling you this right now, based on that alone, I'm not saying that it's trying to gas everything up, but we talk about the transfer portal and how so many people don't feel the connection that they had to players as much anymore because, it's just 1 year players and they're up and gone. It doesn't mean the same anymore. Yada, yada, yada. I was like, that I get that element, but for a case like this with Arkansas, it may actually be better for the changes that they have for an interim coach and everything that's going on for them to adapt to and not to get so up in arms and so upset because they didn't have that strong emotional connection with the coaches and felt like, hey, this is my last year. This is my second to last year or whatever it is. And I got to showcase this. I got to make the best out of it. So let's go. So again, I just really like that response from Caleb Wooden and thought that it was really mature. But a few other clips that we have, and this one is dealing with the changes in Petrino and the coaching. And once again, the offense, it's kind of like, sticks to be the same, but the defense is also pretty fascinating to know what's going on there. And here's what Taylen Green and Caleb Wooden had to say about that.
He still holds us to a high standard. Even when he's not there, he's watching, special teams. When we go offense, defense, he's normally stays with the offense. But Coach Miles Fishback does a great job with us in the meeting rooms and getting us prepared and just continuing to hold that standard because we know how Coach Petrino coaches and what he demands. So it's a great opportunity for Coach Fishback and myself to lead the quarterback room.
Caleb, how have things changed for the defensive side of the ball in terms of how practices are conducted for you guys?
I would say more energy, getting in a good stance, tackling is emphasized more. Pursuit to the football is definitely emphasized. And just playing as one. I know Coach Petrino, he introduced something called tap the hat. And basically that's when somebody makes the plays, all other 10 guys come and show them love, tap them on the helmet. Basically, just applauding them for making that play.
Okay, so once again, that was Taylen Green and Caleb Wooden, and shout out to little Trey Biddy appearance there too. Again, it's the answers that you expect. It's the answers that you expect from these guys of like, offense probably has not changed very much. I don't think anybody expected it to change as far as the practices go and the handling of it because Bobby Petrino was the head of the offense. And so that element probably has not changed, but the defensive side is something simple like that. Coach Petrino talks about tap the hat. It's like, yes, yeah, I love that. Like just the simple things, man, the simple things that could be. And you talked about tackling. You talked about all those things. I don't know if that's Caleb Wooden's way of saying, well, we didn't do these things. But I think there is an element of, hey, this new stuff that's we're being shown, either we like it or we respect it or we think it'll work, whatever the element of that is. I think that there's something to be said about that, especially when you have players that are trying to, again, showcase their abilities, whether it's for the next level or for transferring or anything like that. But that's, if you're a Razorback fan, you love hearing that. You wanted some players, specifically these types of players, to be all in and to be like, yeah, I'm feeling this. I like this. We're being taught these things, and this is how good it could be. So, and then in the final clip, we also got to hear from Mike Washington, the running back, as well as Quincy Rhodes, a defensive lineman. And, of course, they were just asked about some of the coaching and the changes and all the things that happened there. Take a listen.
I'm going to just start off here. The tempo has definitely changed. It's a lot quicker. The periods are shorter, but they're quick pace. So, the coaches have done a great job with, getting to the nail of things and being able to also focus on detail as well when it comes to coaching, the defense. It took us a few days, honestly. But now we at the point to where, at the end of the day, we still got to play ball. We all, represent, the state on the front of our jersey as well as the name on our back. So we still have a why. So we just been balling out there.
Mike, putting your finger on what's going on in the second halves of these last few games, what would you say you guys need to do better in second halves?
Just got to finish. I feel like, the first half, we'll come out strong, and then, it's kind of evident that we've ran out of gas in the second half. So that's been the emphasis, the past couple of weeks is really just finishing.
Now, again, I know, folks, that it's hard to not start to buy into certain things, and it's hard not to listen to these players and to hear about the things that they're doing, because they're not going to come out and say anything negative about like, well, now we're doing this stupid stuff that's not going to work. Like they're going to take the right approach to it. But again, you're looking for hope. You're looking for hope. You're looking for something to be excited about. You're looking for some reason to be pumped about this game against Tennessee this weekend. You'll be interested, but I'm talking about being pumped. I'm talking about the excitement level. You're hopeful that all of these things that are coming together are actually going to come to fruition, and this team is going to be better and to look better. And I was even asking some people about this too. And again, it's not meaning it as an insult to anybody, but very seldom do you see instances where a coach gets fired and the interim coach automatically you feel more confident in as a head coach. And I think that that's kind of the case right now with Petrino. And again, not a slight towards Sam Pittman, but more of a compliment towards Bobby Petrino, because the guy isn't a very accomplished coach. And because of those facts, it just makes you feel like, well, if this team was close here and there, if this team had these moments here and there, if this team has enough talent to do something with it, okay, well, if they have a better head coach, won't those little details mean something different? Even if it means timeout management or clock management in general, or, certain play calls and decisions at certain times, those things, those factors, couldn't that mean something different? I think it's possible. Doesn't mean it'll happen and come to fruition, but I think it's possible. I wanted to give a shout out to these players, though. They sat there. They've been waiting to be asked about it. I think they handled it really well, and I can't wait to see the type of mentality that they take into Knoxville this weekend. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. A lot of you want to know more about the coaching search. Always the coaching search. Well, I'm going to give you the latest updates and the latest intel. Something like that. Coming up next. So stay with us here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Plus Picks award than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to every model that they craft. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth sailing and handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because we make every move count. Impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Also presented by our friends at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all the financial accounts that they have, or even the ones that they're worth. Whether it's 401ks or properties or investments, and when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving a lot of money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives, and if you put off organizing finances, Monarch is just for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see the clear data visuals, and get smart categorization on your spending, and finally feeling in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify little numbers here and there that makes you be able to save a lot more money. Like, hey, I don't really need that. Hey, I don't really need that in a subscription or whatever it may be. They're going to help you out with that. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com using code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, the coaching search, folks. The coaching search. It is on the forefront of everyone's mind. I think it's starting to calm down a little bit, but just because it calms down doesn't mean it doesn't get worse, because so many people want to know all the information that they can possibly get nonstop. What's happening? Who's being interviewed? Who's not being interviewed? Which coaches do we want to see? I mean, on my Inside Arkansas deal, I ran a fan vote with over 2,000 responses, and Dan Mullen's leading the way, surprisingly, weirdly enough. So the point is like, you have all these different names getting thrown out, the different appearances of who could make something work. And also a lot of these coaches who are still currently coaching, you may change your mind on some of them. as the year goes on, because they may have a couple bad losses or maybe have a bad season and suddenly you're not so high on them anymore. I mean, that's absolutely the case and absolutely could happen. But here's what I want to throw into the mix for all of y'all. And it's a very simple thing. There's nothing going on right now that is big names getting mentioned, meeting with agents, all of that stuff. I'm telling you that right now. It's not to say that they're not doing things to check on the coaching search. It's not to say they aren't putting things together. It's not to say that they aren't actually, talking about who they're going to hire or putting game plans together. My point to you is that if you have people telling you about, oh, they're interviewing this coach on this day and this is what's going on, it's not happening. It's not like that. People talk about the board of trustees, and it's like, oh man, I got somebody that's in the board of trustees in the know. Well, the board of trustees, if you think that they're leaking any information, for one, you're kidding yourselves, and two, a lot of the times they're not even the ones directly involved with the coaching search, not at least until a deal is in place, or at least a name is in place and saying, hey, this is the deal we want to make. Are you guys good with it? Then you go from there. A lot of you are probably going to hear about agents getting met with, or, the plane tracking stuff, which by the way, real quick, the plane tracking, I was involved in this. I was involved in it for many coaching searches. It was a lot of fun, but folks, it never equated to it was just fun. It never equated to actually who got hired. So, but I knew that. I think most people knew that, but it was still fun to think about and see if you could finally catch them, flying in. But either way, it's something to where you have to be reasonable. You have to be logical, and you have to keep your head on a swivel when it comes to these coaching searches, especially because this one is going to be so long. I'm not trying to burst your bubble if you're getting excited about things you're hearing. I'm just telling you that they're like, and I'm not a pro in this. I'm not trying to say I'm a pro, but I have been through quite a few coaching searches at Arkansas in my media and professional career. Football, basketball. I mean, it's been chaotic in every time. And honestly, almost, if not every time, the coach that ends up being named is never the coach of who you think it is or who gets talked about a ton or anything like that. I mean, obviously the Cal Perry situation was something that just blew everyone's pants off and had no idea that it was going on. But even the Pittman thing, it was more of like going through the names, boop, 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 and then it landing on Pittman. And then you have the Chad Morris thing, which it felt like it was Gus Malzahn all the way, and it was this close to happening, this close, but then you settled. Eric Musselman, I think, was probably the most normal coaching search Arkansas's ever done, at least that I can remember, because it felt like it was Chris Beard that was involved, or Kelvin Sampson because of the Yurchek connection, but ended up being Muss, and Muss is one of those that was mentioned in the beginning. So, that one made sense. And then, even going back to the Bobby Petrino, he wasn't even a name on the radar until his agent called up and says, hey, he wants out of Atlanta. This sucks. And boom, there it was. So the point is, all this stuff that you hear, all this stuff that you want to listen to, or if you're just begging for those scoops and begging for people to just feed you these placebo pills that will just get you to eat, but it doesn't do anything for you because it's not real. It's a fugazi, as it says. You got to be careful, folks. Don't get worked up over these things. You can have fun with it. You can have fun with the names that are getting thrown around, like, oh, I like this guy or I don't like this guy. You can have your Charlie Day chart when you're just looking at all the coaches and who you like and how you're connecting them and all that. That's fine, because I'm going to do that too. But my point is you just need to understand that this is a process that's going to take some time. And just because you get some info from some message board poster or somebody on Twitter or your buddy who knows a guy who knows something else, odds are it's not true. And if it is true, it probably is exaggerated to the highest level. So that's all I'm asking for all of you. If there's any information that comes out, it could be true. Like, it could be something that happens. But I think that there's certain people that you need to listen to. I think certain people you need to look out for. And I'm not saying that I'm one of these people that's got all the scoops and in the know. I know some people, but I usually don't share a lot of that information unless I'm told to, or unless I'm asked to, or say to give the go ahead to where I can. But I promise you, I'm not going to come on here and ever give you any nonsense of like, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that John Gruden is over here. It's like, I'll give you, if I hear something, I'll let you know if I feel good about it, but I'm not going to get into all that stuff. So just be careful, folks. Be careful of the coaching search and all the things that go on with it. Let's get some basketball. Schedule's out. What do we think? Let's get into it. Stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of college football this season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less to your player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. It's very quick and easy to use. You can make your lineup in under a minute. And Prize Picks just added stacks. So if you wanted to ride with a player, you select their pass yards, their rush yards, their touchdowns, all in one lineup. And it's also fun to play with other players and follow along and copy their lineups with just one simple click. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On College for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so the Razorback basketball schedule came out, and we can just go ahead and pull this up. Let's take a look at it here. This is the Razorback basketball schedule. It's finally arrived. It's finally here, and it is a real deal Holyfield type of thing. You got the dates, you even got the times on a lot of these games too. And man, oh man, does it feel good? It's crazy. It's crazy to think about that. We're so close to the season, as in like October 24th is when you have your first exhibition game against Cincinnati. And of course, you play Memphis in that exhibition game on October 27th, which will be a really cool thing. And I really look forward to that. Like exhibition games are even a big deal now. Like how much fun is that? When have we ever been able to have that much fun? But either way, you got some stuff going on when it comes to those schedules, and you got to get excited about it, especially considering like where the schedule was last year in the SEC of all places. It sucked. It was not very fun. It was not a good time, but still it was something that we just all had to grit it and bear it and deal with it and everything. But either way, you got a few games that are going to be happening of note on Saturdays, as we all know, because that's the big one. Like I love the fact that Kentucky is based on a Saturday game, and that one is a beautiful, beautiful time frame of 5:30, which I am all about. So that's exciting. You got the Auburn game that's going to be at home at 7:30 on February 14th on Valentine's Day. So that'll be great. Kentucky one's January 31st on ESPN at 5:30. You also have a few other games too, like Tennessee being played at Bud Walton Arena, which, it's funny because that's the first game of the season. And that's on January 3rd, but that game's at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, so you got that going on. So either way, you got some good games. You got some good Saturday matchups. Obviously, the Auburn matchup is a Saturday. The Kentucky matchup's a Saturday. There's some other games, too, that are just disgusting in their times and everything. Like you got the South Carolina game at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. It's just that's pretty brutal, too. I did find it fascinating, though, and I don't know if anybody else cares about this, but March 4th on that Wednesday when you play Texas, that game is being played at 6 o'clock. It's going to be on ESPN2 or U, and it's at Bud Walton Arena. You and Texas are the only SEC teams playing that day. Of all the teams, you're the only ones playing. I don't know why that's the case, but sure. All right, that's pretty cool. But either way, you got the schedule. You got a few of the times. I'm excited about basketball. I know a lot of people are too. I think it's going to be a great crowd. Hopefully it continues to be great, and it'll be here before we know it. But either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns you may have. Keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. See you then.